Find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
I am thrilled, and Fiona is someone that I got the pleasure of meeting right prior to the pandemic, and it's where she's talking about all these businesses that she's co-owned and founded. And when I first met her, she was with Steady Networks and helping Jonathan with cybersecurity back then. But she has transitioned from them and moved on onto her own businesses as well. And you just the personality, Fiona, that I've met, you're so enthusiastic all the time. I see at so many community networking events, and you're just there to help people. You like talking to people, you get along with people, and your main goal in life is helping people and entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and allpreneurs. But we're excited today. You're going to be talking about unlocking the secrets of tax advantages for gig workers and solopreneurs. Fiona is the CEO of Framework COO and a broker for Gigworker Solutions, one of the major brokers in the country. With her skills, she is able to provide insight to individuals, contractors, on ways to set up their businesses so they have some legal protection as well as a reduced tax obligation on their self-employment tax. So Fiona, without further ado, I present Fiona.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. And for anyone new coming in, welcome if I haven't spoken with you. I actually enjoy doing this immensely. My business is structured on helping businesses. So I'm a fractional chief operations officer, and I also have a business referral center to help businesses grow and develop without it being expensive or costly, because it's free to use my referral center, just so you're aware. And I'm based here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I've run 7 businesses. I see more people coming on. I've owned 7 and run 12. I've worked with businesses as small as 1 person, all the way up to an operations department within Humana. So I've had the gamut of experiences in various arenas to give you an idea of my skill set. And today I actually want to share some ways to help you with taxes, growing your business, improving it, maybe finding alternate ways to decrease your taxes and your liability correctly with the IRS. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share a screen, and I'm happy to have any questions asked during, if you're one of those that forget after 5 minutes of not remembering 5 minutes later what that was. It's okay. So here we go. So this is the secrets and advantages that Brian just expressed that I was going to do, and I'm going to try and read it from my other screen to make life easy so you can see me looking at you. So one of the things that I found is a lot of individuals have a hard idea sorting out how they want to develop their company, what their tax strategies or advantages are, what different things they can do to create their businesses and make it successful, and what things are required by the IRS, for example. So we're going to go over formations first. So there's some understanding about the top 4 business types that are always mentioned. We are going to go over LLC and LLC with an S-Corp election, so that makes a little more sense as to why it's a helpful thing, especially for solopreneurs and gig workers. And then taxes and how it works as a sole proprietor versus an S-Corp election. I will explain that in a minute, and how to get the right help. So what type of businesses are out there and what do they do? So we're going to go into the major ones. Please ask me questions at any point in time. Happy to answer. So a sole proprietor is, of course, one of the easiest ones to set up. There isn't a registration process like most companies, and the application you have to fill out is simple, but also it's a good idea to file as a DBA, so that way you at least have a certificate that reserves the right for your company name for you to use it. It has some pros and cons. Everything has pros and cons. The pros are they're simple to set up. The DBA helps you claim the name so someone can't take it from you. And you can get started without VC funding. There's not a lot to start up the business. It's very simple to put together. If you decide to change your name, it's easier to just close it and restart a new one, honestly, because the amount of work you'd have to do to switch your name is very difficult. You don't get any tax savings as a sole proprietor because you can't elect for an S Corp election for your taxes, which I'll explain in a minute, but it makes it very difficult. And there's no incorporation protection, meaning if someone came after you for any reason, the world is sue happy, unfortunately. I hate talking about negative stuff, as everyone knows, but they are sue happy. And the problem is if you're not incorporated, you will not have any protection, and they can go after your personal assets that way. If you have some kind of wall protecting you from those kind of instances, you have a better chance of being able to use your personal assets and income without it being affected while this is going on versus having to completely shut everything down and have to deal with it. Commercial banks generally will not open an account for you for a business account because they have to have proof of an EIN. Since a sole proprietor is not set up as an incorporated business, there is no EIN number associated with it. Uses your social security number. You cannot have a partner in this. So if you decide to grow or change, hence the changing of the name, changing of information is very difficult. If you decide to have a partner, it's not possible to set it up through a sole proprietor. You have to change your company type if that happens. So when you're forming your business, it's important to think about how you want to develop it, who you want to work with. Do you want to work nationwide? Do you want to work overseas with other people as well? These are important concepts to think about when you're forming a business. A C Corp. Anyone on here who is in the tech industry or is manufacturing product and you want to have trademarks, please do this. Do the C Corp. The C Corp's super important. It's a lot of paperwork. I will not lie. It does have a lot to it, but it also has a major protection. It's really good for companies like Amazon and Microsoft, and they pay for corporate taxes. They have annual reports, so a lot more reporting that has to be done. And it requires a board of directors. So it's not just start a C Corp, it's actually you have to create a board of directors for this. And good for those that need VC funding. So you're looked at as a more reliable type of corporation when you're going after VC funding if you have a C Corp. Great for tech companies. Tech companies should do this. I'll tell them every single time. Those who are planning to go large. So if you're planning to have, 1,000+ employees, please do this. This will save you a headache later on trying to change your company type. You can transfer shares. So you can allot shares to different people within the company that are in your C-suite or whatever you choose to do that's correct for the formation. The intellectual property rights and titles cannot be broken. So they cannot be changed, altered. They can't say you cannot do this title or you're removed. It's not easy to change things. It's set up to be solid. That hence the reason VC funding works so well for this, because it's a very solid structure. Double taxation, there's a problem. You can have the company and the shareholder dividends are taxed. Expensive to start. I will not lie, it's a lot of paperwork and it's expensive to start. And there's a lot of regulations to follow. If you're not able to have deductions, you're not able to have deductions due to corporate losses. So there's no pass-through like an LLC, which we'll get into in a second. I would like to clear this up. I don't know how many of you have been told that an S corporation is a business entity. By the way, it's not. It isn't. It is a tax classification. Only 2 corporation types are allowed to use it. One of them is the LLC the other one is the C Corp. Those are the only two that are allowed to elect for it. What it is the owner can go ahead and say, I'm going to pay myself as my own employee. And this will reduce taxes for the self-employment tax and reduce it overall. Because what happens is with an LLC, you go ahead and you run it down from your LLC business bank account and you do a net payroll to yourself, and it will end up only being self-employment tax on the net payroll, not your total income, because it's a pass-through. You can go ahead and do deductions from your LLC account to yourself because you are the owner. This is a nice little tax loophole that is with the IRS that you can do, but you can only do it with a C Corp and an LLC. It does a little different. It passes through to the owner's personal tax returns as far as the income tax and withholding and all of that. And the tax election allows you to be an employee of your own company, like I said, where you can pay yourself your own payroll. So the pros about it is you avoid the double taxation, which is great. You have tax savings and you can deduct corporate losses. So a C Corp likes to do this so they can deduct corporate losses in the proper manner, because this ends up being a pass-through. And then they also have savings on their taxes overall. They also have their assets protected. So, you know, for example, Microsoft or Amazon will use Microsoft. So they don't just do software, they also sell goods. And the nice thing is that it protects their goods, their services, everything, their trademark. It helps protect the company itself. And it's a straightforward transfer of ownership. It's very easy to move from one to the other when you have an S Corp election. Limited liability protection, like the LLC, it also creates that along with the C Corp. It adds to it, the C Corp and the S Corp. And it increases your credibility because you're a little more aware of how your taxes work and you're able to run the company more smoothly. The cons, formation and ongoing expenses. It's a bit, but not too bad. You have to adopt a calendar year for your taxes though. You cannot do a fiscal, you can't do a set time that you prefer. It has to be calendar year if you do an S Corp. There is a stock ownership restriction. So if you do have ownership set up and you're a C Corp, for example, C Corp likes to have many different classifications. If they do, this S Corp election will not work for them. And it's also watch more closely when you have an S corporation, because S Corp election, because they want to make sure that you're not playing the tax game incorrectly. So they're going to watch you more carefully. LLC. This is my favorite. I have done my businesses as an LLC, and there's a reason. You have a very unique structure, not a lot of paperwork, and each state has a different regulation. So New Mexico versus Arizona versus California, they're completely different. I did have someone ask me recently, and I looked it up. California was the last one that was not allowing LLCs. It is now allowed in California, so every single state in the country now allows LLCs. Clarification on that. Owners actually are now referred to as members instead of owners. The reason for it is because of the structure itself. And most LLCs, oh, before I forget, one cool little advantage for an LLC, you can have an oversee member, another company, as a member within your LLC, which is really interesting. This is the one that opens up where you can actually have that available to you throughout the world. So if you have plans to work outside of the country and have owners throughout the world, this is a good option. It can be a single member, but it also can be multi-member. It can go either way. It's more flexible than most of them. The pros, it's perpetual existence. The ownership can change, so you can translate it over to somebody quite easily. If you have a child that you want to send it over to, or another person that's your partner that you started the company with, this is a really good way to do it, and it's much more simplified, and you still have the protection as if you were a C Corp. The shield and protects the personal assets of the members. It does that as well. The members have financial and management rights. So they all work together to make the company work. It is a pass-through entity for taxes. So it already is set up for that, and adding the S Corp to it just makes it even better because of your own personal income taxes you can reduce for your self-employment tax. Way less paperwork. Oh, trust me, I've looked into all of this. This is easy in comparison. Flexible profits and distributions. So you can adjust these. For example, let's say you start off and it's just you. So you're getting 100% of the profits in the distributions. Well, all of a sudden you have a new member / owner that has come in, but maybe they only get 30%. So you give them 30%. Then you pull in a third one, but that second one that you brought in prior, you want to increase it, you can. You could change it to 45% and the other one has 5%, or whatever you choose to do. It's very easy to change your distributions in this. There's no restrictions to the number of owners. In an S Corp, there's a restriction of 100 owners or 100 members. So this actually is extremely flexible in that department, and you don't have to have a board like a C Corp. There's no board required. So you as the starter of your business are more beneficial in this aspect if you want to maintain the complete overview of your company and how it runs. This is more helpful. If you don't want to mess with it and you want a board telling you what to do because you prefer to have your vision seen, but you don't want to run all those things, then go with a C Corp because the board will actually be there to help you. Cons. The profit and loss are reported on your individual taxes. I don't see that as a big issue because you're reporting either way, but it is a con for some people. Checks written to an LLC must be deposited in a business account and cannot be cashed. So you can't put it in your personal account. You can't go ahead and cash it and use the money. That doesn't work. The setup with an LLC is an LLC must remain completely sole and separate from your personal income. It has to be provable and trackable. So the only way to do this is make sure all your monies that come in go directly to your LLC. If someone gives me cash, I put it in my LLC. I do that too. So it's always reported. And later on, you'll find out why I do it too. Keep all business transactions and personal obligations completely separate. It is really important to do that because they watch you closely. They watch an LLC and an S Corp very closely, the IRS, that is. Any questions so far? Somebody? Okay. I'm going to go into the next.
Fiona,
Yes.
it looks like there's a couple down in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't see the chat. I'm so sorry. Let me get in there.
That's it.
Okay. So an LLC can be, thank you, Austin. I think you're meaning about LLC can be multiple owners. If it's a family-owned business, yes, it can. If you're referring to that specific. S Corp, or the S Corp wise. So the S Corp can have a maximum of 100 owners. Just to clarify that question. The 100 owner restriction is for S Corp election. If you do not have an S Corp election and do not have savings on your taxes, self-employment taxes set up, then there is no restriction. You can have as many as you want. I hope that helps clear it up. And okay. So we have business entity elections. As of 2021, this will give you an idea of what's becoming really popular. So an LLC is growing dramatically, leaps and bounds, because it creates the protection, but it also has the flexibility. So the sole proprietor does not have a reduction in taxes at all and zero protection, people can go after them directly. So it's proving to be the business entity of choice. The S Corp, because it's an election, it is not a business entity. I did put it in here because not a lot of people are using it. If you take a look at the LLC and the C Corp, very few people are using it or understand what is used for. So they're not saving their money on their taxes, which is blowing my mind. Sole proprietors cannot use it. So they will never be able to tap into that aspect unless they switch over to an LLC or a C Corp. C Corp is very tiny. So as you can tell by the size and the weight of how many, these are within the US. The LLC is going, I think it's already bypassed the sole proprietor. I don't have the new report yet, but it looks like it's grown that much. So once I have that, I'm happy to share it, but it looks like it might have bypassed the sole proprietor. And the cool thing is the reason people are switching to this instead of a sole proprietor, they're starting to find out the benefits of it. There is some paperwork, but the nice thing is they have some protection. Okay, so LLC, why is it so important? Why are people drawn to it? So this is the main advantage. Limited liability protection and owners' personal assets can be protected from business debt and lawsuits against the business when the owner uses an LLC to do business. So what I was saying was everything passes through. So it has a tax advantage, which is correct that you have to keep track of for the IRS. You can do things with an S Corp election to save yourself money, but it also protects you if someone's coming after you. Like I said, limited liability in C Corp is a very good protection against things like lawsuits and debt. So you don't have those personal restrictions that come upon you if you were a sole proprietor. Breaking down the LLC. Okay, year by year, it's increasing. Since 2004, per the IRS, I researched their site. One of the largest draws is to avoid double taxation like they get with the C Corp. The interesting part is the LLC is formed under the state law and it provides the tax benefits that I told you as well as the liability protection, but there's some other interesting things. It's a hybrid structure. So it's simple, flexible, great tax advantages, and you can have partnerships. So you can partner with other companies of many types. It doesn't just have to be an LLC, could be a C Corp, could be a member/owner, your choice. And there's no major restrictions. And the liability protection of a corporation like a C Corp, you have that same kind of protection, but the hassles are gone. You have more ownership and membership flexibility, so you don't have to have a board, for example, and you get to choose how you want to set up your members in your company. And it also has an operating agreement that you can modify easily as the company grows and develops. So it's easy to alter. You don't have to close your business and restart a new one. It's flexible. So one of the nice things is the process is simpler with filings, like I'd mentioned before. Organizational documents are simplified dramatically versus the C Corp. And they're typical for corporations under state law. So the state law actually oversees the registration, the EIN number, that kind of thing. LLCs don't have a separate tax designation. So this is where it gets confusing. So you have to pick. So if you want to choose, you can either choose to do a partnership type or a corporation type. The S corporation election reduces your self-employment taxes dramatically. So an S Corp election, there are only 2 entities, like I mentioned before, that can have it. And this is because they're classified and being a big advantage. They also have ways to make your money go further. This is because you don't have to pay the self-employment tax on distributions. So like I mentioned, if you have an LLC bank account up here and you're giving yourself a net payroll, you only do the self-employment tax on your net payroll, which is your paycheck to yourself every month, for example. So that's the only place that the self-employment tax shows up. But if you go ahead and do a distribution from your LLC to yourself because you're the business owner, that distribution, and I did this with my eye doctor's office that I owned in Taos, this distribution goes ahead and comes down to without the self-employment tax. So you only have the income tax applied. That's it. You don't have any self-employment tax. So it reduces your taxes dramatically. Where was I? I'm sorry. Oh, and the earnings are passed through to you as the owner. So the larger your distribution, the less employment taxes you pay for self-employment tax. The S-Corp election is a request that's filled out with the IRS. I even know the name of the form. It's 2553. If anyone wants to know, you can look it up. And it will change your business tax status. When you elect the S-Corp status with the IRS, you declaring your business as a separate and distinct entity from your personal. You're saying, these two are not related at all. I'm keeping them completely separate, just like they should be anyway for an LLC, but this double emphasizes it. After the IRS has approved the election, your business can operate under the S-Corp status, because it's not a business entity, but it can go under that corporation status for taxes. But you do have to meet the necessary requirements, and your business losses are passed down to all the owners and investors, and then you report the income on your individual income taxes. Companies that file as an S-Corp do not pay corporate income taxes. How's that sound? That's a nice change, right? Okay. So I am also a broker for Gigworker Solutions. It's within my company and my referral center. I put this up so it makes sense. When I was saying you go ahead and you run your pay into your LLC, if you choose to do an LLC, I mean, choose whatever works for you. But if you did choose this, what it does, I'm doing this as a comparison of a sole proprietor to give you an idea what this slide is. On the bottom, if you have where it says any client, and this is all your income that comes in as a contractor or a solopreneur. All the money that comes in, and you could be working for a spa and selling paintings on the plaza, your choice. When it comes in, it goes across to and pays directly to your account, your personal checking account. The problem is you have 15.3% of self-employment tax. Ugh, that's a lot, because the standard income tax for our general range of income is 20%. So you tack those two on together, you're almost doubling your taxes that you're paying. If you go ahead and you run it up through your LLC business checking account, you have to go ahead and apply for all the paperwork required, which is the LLC and the S-Corp election. But you can go ahead and do a net payroll, and you can choose, this is how it works. The IRS has a requirement. So if you're under $100,000, people usually have write-offs that they do. And so that will reduce it somewhat, a certain percentage, but under 100,000, you want to make sure that you're paying yourself a net payroll annually of 36,000 a year. Do not go less than that. That's kind of like the minimum requirement, or they start looking at what you're doing because they wonder if you're paying yourself a reasonable amount of income for your net payroll. If you go over 100,000, my recommendation is to always have your net payroll at 40% of your income. You can go 36, but I always say don't go 40 and be safe. It's better to do that. And the reason is they have a strict requirement of reasonable income for your income coming into your business, so that you have enough coming in to support you that's equal to what your cohorts would be in other companies. So one of the things Gigworkers does, this is brand new, and just so people are aware that this is out there, it actually will do your federal taxes, your payroll taxes, your unemployment taxes with federal, your unemployment taxes with state. It'll run it all for you on your net payroll only, not your entire income, because most of it's going into your LLC, hopefully. What they will do is they run it, and they also now give people the opportunity to go ahead and have their own benefits. Wouldn't it be nice running your own company, not having to pay a fortune, and being able to go ahead and have, oh, I don't know, medical insurance, identity theft protection, free life insurance, something called the Champ Health Plan, which reduces your costs of what you spend on your medical insurance and keeps you healthy. And it's for your whole family. The identity fraud protections for your entire family as well. So it's very interesting what they do here. But the cool thing is they have all these options, and they pay everything. They pay your taxes on your behalf. So you don't have to mess with it at the end of the year, do it monthly, do it quarterly. Everybody does them different. The interesting part is you're going to find out in a minute on the next 2 slides or 3 slides. I'll get to that. Gig workers, this is what it does. So everything on the left in green, and I'm just telling you so you're aware of it. If you decide to do an LLC and you're making gross $50,000 a year, this is something that will help you tremendously. It'll save you a ton on your taxes. If you're below that, this is something to aim for. So everything on the left in green is included. All of this comes with the actual program itself. And you have workers' comp. There are only 5 jobs that do not cover under workers' comp under this plan. 3 of them I can remember off the top of my head. One is roofers. It's one of the most dangerous jobs. Truck drivers and a general contractor that works 2-story buildings or higher. The other 2, sorry, slipping my mind right now, but that's what they are. There's only 5 that are not included in this package. Normally, you have to pay overages on your workers' comp for anything that you need. We did an analysis of somebody that's $50,000 a year gross, went through this just to give you an idea. They ended up with all these benefits. They can elect for more. They can use a 401k plan and start saving, which costs them nothing to run, by the way, which is really nice. You just choose it or you don't. And it's more flexible than a Roth IRA. For anyone's information, it's more flexible to use, less problems with it. Slavic is the one that works with the Gigworker Solutions. But the nice thing is that money's yours. So you take it with you. You don't stay with Gigworker Solutions, go somewhere else. It's your money. It doesn't go anywhere but with you. And you can do all these extra things. If anyone's wondering, the major medical is actually coming out in 2 weeks from what I was told, and it's going to be Aetna. Very specific, I'll tell you, that's who it's with. And MetLife Identity Fraud Protection, which you can see on the bottom left, that is actually run by Aura. And please, anybody feel free to look it up. And I'm going to tell you this, you'll understand when you see it. Go onto YouTube, look up Aura and Robert Downey Jr. Weird stories, but you need to look it up. It's a good one. That's who backs the identity fraud protection. And that's included for everyone that's on this and their family members. So gives you a nice idea. You can protect your whole family, including your kids. So that's that part. I just wanted to put that in there. If people want to know about it, I'm the only New Mexico broker, but I do work US wide. I have been locked in. So if you need help, it's me, just to give you an idea. There are affiliates in New Mexico in case anyone's run into it before, and they either work for myself or the founder that's here in New Mexico. Getting the right help. If you're an LLC or an S Corp, what's the right choice? So this is the problem. The individuals are missing certain things, and one of them is hard to get affordable health insurance. We do have the exchange. I'm sure most of you are aware in New Mexico. I don't know about the other states. Cindy, I know you're in a different state, but this actually frees up some things for people. Go ahead, Cindy.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, we have an exchange too.
Oh, good. Okay.
But right now we're through my husband, so.
Okay. So what I tell people is if they're on the exchange or they're with another insurance and they want to do gig workers that I mentioned, I always let them know, do a comparison. You don't have to do what's on Gigworker Solutions if you want to go that route. If you find your marketplace, your health exchange, your medical insurance through a spouse or whatever is better, keep it. Don't switch it. Only do it if you need it. It's there if you need it. 65% of the individuals don't have a retirement account. This is US wide. And these individuals will be sole proprietors, contractors, just to give you an inkling. And in 2019, over 4.5 million sole proprietors didn't file their taxes correctly. And some of them didn't file at all. And hence they have tax implications, fees and fines they have to deal with. It's not pleasant. And when you're new to running a business, it's important to know that these things come up. These happen constantly. So gig workers, I mentioned, I'm not trying to sell this. I'm just trying to give you information so you have it. It has a simple setup on the way to set up your taxes and have benefits. The reason they came up with this is I talked to the founders themselves and working directly with them. And they were approached by a very large company that had almost all contractors. And they said, I can't give them benefits because they're 1099 employees. There's a problem. How can we make sure that they don't have tax problems? They have benefits. How can we get this to them? So as of January of last year, they started working on it. They had it finalized by January of this year. They did a trial run on March 1st. It's been active in New Mexico since April 1st. It's been US wide since April 15th. Just so you know how new it is, but it's working and growing extremely fast because there's now a proper legal way to do everything and have benefits at the same time. But this just gives you an idea. So I broke this all down for you earlier, but they have all those add-ons on the bottom that are the Aetna, the major medical, dental, disability, anything you could possibly ask for at the reduced price you would get at like Microsoft or Amazon. Because what they do is they take all these contractors or solopreneurs and they put them in a basket and they say, hey, we have all these people that you need to cover. And there's enough of them in there that they're getting the full discount that a big company would get. So you have that advantage for yourself. And this is how you can find me. If anyone wants to find me. If you want to find out about gig workers on your own, feel free. I put a QR code in there so you can scan it. And you can even just say my first name because everybody in the entire company knows who I am. It's really crazy, but that's fine. But if you want to chat, you want to figure out how to build up your business, you want help, you have questions, I'm here to help. I enjoy this. I am a mentor for the New Mexico Angels. I am a mentor for CNM Ingenuity. I also am an ambassador for the Hispano Chamber and help the Santa Fe Chamber. I obviously the BBB as well. I'm all over the place, but I am out to help. That's what I'm here for. So with that, in case anyone needs that, I'll leave it up. Does anyone have any questions? I am happy to answer anything you might have to ask, or you can email me if you would like to have a private conversation as well.
Any other questions? Anything up on the chat? And see anything come up on the chat? It was great timing there, Fiona.
Thank you so much. I try my best. I really do.
No, hey, you did awesome, Fiona, on providing a wealth of information to a very complex topic. You know, it was easily for me to understand the way you put it in layman's terms. And no, I know how difficult it is, and you know, we deal with you know, with licensing, with construction industries, you know, every day. But you know, 70% of our membership is in the construction industry. So very great information that you provided with us today.
Every business says they're better, but the ones that earn and display the BBB seal back it up. It instantly identifies businesses that are committed to operating with integrity, honoring promises, and telling the truth. Makes you wonder why every business doesn't have it. So look for it, because it's looking out for you. That's why it's the sign of a better business. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org.